Welcome to Camnet TV Main News. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. The headlines. Dumb and deaf 15-year-old girl of CHAWAMA compound allegedly defiled by 5 men. The Zambia Medical Association accuses government of failing MATERO Level 1 hospital. A governance activist, BREBNAR CHANGALA, bemoans political party officers in bus stations. In international news, Ukraine commander in Mariupol appeals for help. And in sports, Cooperatives ready to roll YAOUNDÉ. Join me with the details after this commercial. And on the main news in detail. A 15-year-old girl, dumb and deaf of the Saka Jonawad area in CHAWAMA constituency has allegedly been defiled by 5 unknown men. In an interview with Camnet News, Ida Piri, grandmother to the victim, says after the incident that occurred on the 4th of April 2022, her granddaughter has spent most of her days crying over what had transpired, hence fearing the worst for her granddaughter. Miss Piri has in this regard called on government to relocate her grandchild in a foster home so that she does not suffer discrimination. Meanwhile, Zambia Agency for Persons with Disability Director General Nicholas Goma says the 5 unsuspected thugs will be brought to book, stating that the agency won't sit idle and watch persons with disabilities get abused.
Whilst the government and other stakeholders are advocating for rights with persons with disability to be respected and recognized, there are others that are fond of violating such rights. On the 4th of April 2022, a 15-year-old girl of John Howard in Lusaka's CHAWAMA's constituency, Doreen Mwanza, was allegedly defiled by 5 unsuspected members of the community. Doreen has been living with a disability since childhood as she's deaf and dumb, and has been kept by her grandmother, who is also a widow. Her grandmother, Ida Piri, has since called on the government to bring to book the 5 unsuspected culprits. Her grandmother, Ida Piri, has since called on the government to bring to book the 5 unsuspected culprits.
Nilina mwana sakamba. Amele sakamba. Imafutana naye anadwala but cha number 1 anadwala enzo kamba kakali kangono kadwala takhala mu hospital paka tachoka sakamba kula basi kwa khaliliro sakamba. Kumanaye sakachenjera akapereka kusukuru movutikira nupereka.
She discloses that since the incidents, her granddaughter spends most of her time crying.
Ompa chachitika kona kutada nali mziko mchalo muno wakatiwa owera kale kama konda utakamba kulira so achoka hapo pa nyumba urwendo kuyamba kulira basi usakira mapa utino nthawe ro bakachira manga kachenjera sinikwanisha kuti nikite bwanji ni mukate ni mukazike.
A community activist, Lewis Chijiva, at CHAWAMA One Stop Center, says members of the public should be in the habit of protecting persons with disabilities.
There are some thugs within the community that usually take advantage of disability in the community, and they start defiling children, such as the one that we are encountering now of Doreen, who was defiled by 5 thugs. We are now requesting the community to be sensitive.
In an interview with Camnet News, the neighbors have also emphasized the need for Doreen to be relocated.
Wiki sabwera bambo sakira so chabe bazambera tagwa hari huku so chabe bantu bamudoba bamuleka so bavuti kalo nishibali chebeka
pamtenge chabe bankare nayo kwamira banga kwanise kumusunga la government mwanchi wambuye bakamafutika maningi bafutika mwanji wambuye bake nangusonga tasoba bamasakira usiku na mzuba siwagona bavutika mbuye bake badwaliramu nangumvula iloka mvula manenzo rokerapa banali kusakira.
Meanwhile, Zambia Agents for Persons with Disability Nicholas Goma says the culprits will be brought to book.
Yeah, with regard to our child with a disability, that was the recent case in CHAWAMA, that of course Camnet is following up, and Zapid also will be actually very much on the ground to follow up on the outcome of that case. The young girl who was hearing impairment, deaf, and was defiled, the defilement case. I want to just make this appeal to our society that persons with disabilities, especially our children, they are also a part of our society and they need the community and society protection.
Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Zambia Medical Association has accused the government of failing to attend to the real sanitation challenges faced at MATERO Level 1 Hospital despite management at the health facility having reported the matter several times. Association President Dr. Crispin Moyo says the decision taken by the government to transfer all senior management officials at MATERO Level 1 Hospital does not address the sanitation challenges but only brings fear to the health workers at the institution. Meanwhile, Dr. Moyo has suggested that government should consider lowering the procurement of medicines to the district or hospital level as a short intervention to address the current drug shortages in the country.
The video taken by MATERO Member of Parliament Mao Sampa when he visited the MATERO Level 1 Hospital in Lusaka, depicting serious sanitation issues at the health facility has brought about a lot of debate as to whether health facilities in the country are safe for the sick. A week after the video went viral, Minister of Health Sylvia Masebo announced that her ministry had made changes at management levels at the health institution to ensure that sanity was restored. The Zambia Medical Association has, however, accused the government of failing to respond to calls by management at MATERO Level 1 Hospital, who on several occasions reported that the sewer system at the old wing was outdated and needed to be connected to the newly built sewer system. Addressing the media Thursday morning, Association President Dr. Crispin Moyo says transferring the health workers has not solved the sanitation challenge but only instilled fear in health workers at the institution.
That problem will not be resolved by just bringing in that new person in there. Therefore, we call upon our leadership, political leadership, especially at local level, to engage with the healthcare workers and understand some of the challenges that they are working under. At the moment, if you go to MATERO today, our workers will be working in fear because the community has been incited.
Dr. Moyo has also touched on the recruitment of the over 11,000 health workers, which he says the process has not been well coordinated by the government, and has urged the government to engage the association to ensure that the process is transparent.
We are going to disadvantage mainly those people who are vulnerable. We have a lot of young men and women who have trained as doctors. They are out there waiting to be employed. They have no connections. They will end up missing this recruitment purely because we have not followed a transparent and accountable system. So, in view of this, we are demanding that we need to go back to the drawing board. It's not too late. No one person has been recruited.
And while the country has recorded a shortage of medicines in health facilities across the country, the doctors have appealed to the government to consider allowing district health offices and hospitals to begin procuring their own medicines as a short-term mitigation process.
While we are thinking of a transitional plan to make sure that there is continuity in supply of medicines, could the budget that is earmarked for procurement of drugs be proportionately apportioned to those facilities to procure directly with a clear mechanism of accountability being put in place? Let them buy locally for now.
The health sector in Zambia still has a lot of issues, among them old infrastructure, poor quality of works on certain health facilities, inadequate workforce, among other things that need to be urgently attended to if the health sector is to function well. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Director of Public Prosecutions Lillian Siuni has entered a nolle prosequi in a matter in which 7 United Party for National Development cadres out of 8 are accused of brutally killing the 2 Patriotic Front members in Kanyama during the 12th August 2021 general election campaigns. The decision has left one accused person, Samson Mumba, behind bars who will face continued trial in the case which come up on the 4th of May 2022. And Council Major Patrick Mpundu, who represented the accused cadres, says the state has failed to produce evidence to prove that the accused were indeed involved in the murder case. Council Mpundu, however, says the case is not complete until the remaining accused is also set free.
31st July 2021, 2 suspected Patriotic Front cadres identified as Dani Chingangu and Teddy were gruesomely murdered in Lusaka's Kanyama compound by suspected United Party for National Development cadres. The death of the 2 signified how some political parties embraced thuggery as a way of conducting politics. The Patriotic Front then vowed to ensure that the culprits are brought to book and face the law. The party, through the Secretary General Davis Mwila, also pledged to look after the family of the 2 deceased.
So, Provincial Chairman, I'm directing you that you see the family on Friday or Saturday. Let's see what we can do as a party.
8 UPND supporters in Lusaka's Kanyama compound were then arrested and charged with the offense of murder, where they have been appearing before the courts of law. But when the matter came up for trial Thursday, 21st April 2022, the Director of Public Prosecution, Lillian Siuni, has entered a nolle prosequi of 7 UPND cadres out of the 8 accused. The release of the 7 saw jubilation by the UPND sympathizers who came to the courts to offer solidarity to their accused colleague. Meanwhile, legal counsel who represented the accused have explained that the 7 have been acquitted because the state could not provide evidence linking them to the murder, but that one of the accused, Samson Mumba, remains behind bars and will face continued trial in the case which comes up on 4th May 2022.
The trial commenced in January, but because the state struggled to produce witnesses then, it was brought forward to this month. This time again, the court started sitting on Monday. On Tuesday, 19th of April, the state still failed to, produce witnesses, and they were left with no option but to enter a nolle prosequi. So today, the state has entered a nolle prosequi in respect of 7 out of the 8 accused persons. One accused person, Samson Mumba, has remained, and trial will continue in respect of him thereof on 4th May 2022. We are desirous.
Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Zambian Cyber Security Initiative Foundation ZCSIF has called for more sensitization on the Cyber Crimes and Cybersecurity Crimes Act in Zambia, stating that rampant abuse of social media has continued despite this act being effected in April of 2021. Meanwhile, a renowned clergy, Bishop John Mambo, says the church should also join in advocating for the responsible use of social media in Zambia, as this is one communication platform that has been highly abused. The duo was responding to the Zambia Police Service decision to call out on a Zambian citizen identified as Chipo Matongo, male, for questioning over alleged insensitive comments that he made on social media bordering on the abducted mobile money booth attendant Pamela Chisumpa.
Various communication platforms have emerged with the invention of the internet a few decades ago, among them social media platforms. While various social media platforms such as Facebook have made it easy for people to share information, learn, interact and publicize their businesses, social media platforms have also been used to perpetuate various cyber crimes. Zambia in 2021 enforced the Cyber Security and Cyber Crimes Act aimed at curtailing these crimes. The Zambian Cyber Security Initiative Foundation, however, feels that many Zambians are still ignorant on the contents of the act, hence the need for more sensitization, as many have continued to abuse social media platforms. The latest case is that of a man identified as Mr. Chipo Katongo, who has been caught for questioning by the Zambia police after allegedly posting that the missing mobile money booth attendant Ms. Pamela Chisumpa will be sexually abused. Foundation President Mr. John Chisenki was speaking to Camnet News.
We followed that one, and I knew that I think that was a serious, abrogation of the Cyber Security and Cyber Crimes Act. Abuse of social media in anywhere is not allowed in Zambia, even anywhere around the world. And I think if I can, try and bring it back home. As since the cyber law was enacted last year in February, there's been no serious enforcement and awareness, sensitization on the same cyber law for the people to really appreciate the contents of the act itself. Whatever it was designed for, people, have not really taken keen interest in studying this very important law. Zambians don't love reading, but this one is a very important piece of legislation that should be read by every Zambian.
Meanwhile, a clergyman, Bishop John Mambo, has called on the church to also advocate for responsible use of social media.
But whereby you abuse a God-given life, a child that has been adopted due to tricksters and because of poverty and what is happening, and you end up mocking her, I think that's not called for. Let's pray that that girl, Kenny, be found unharmed, and then also let's pray that the language that we are currently using social media.
In a phone interview, Zambia police spokesperson Mr. Ray Hamonga has confirmed that Mr. Matongo has been caught for questioning following his Facebook comment.
The truth of the matter is that he came to the police station on his own, alleging that he has seen a lot of comments and he was scared for his life. So we also, as police, since he had issued those comments, we also took interest in the comment that he had issued. So we are questioning him.
Zambians are still awaiting the safe rescue of Mr. Sumpa, who has been missing since last week. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
A governance activist, BREBNAR CHANGALA, has questioned the rationale behind allowing political party officers to continue operating in bus stations and markets amid calls to end cadreism. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Changala has noted that bus stations and markets have continued to host these political party offices which are painted in colors of the party in government, while there has been claims that these institutions are only run by councils and are free from cadres. Wrangles have been emerging at facilities like bus stations and markets, with the latest being that of Lusaka's Kulima Tower bus station, where some bus drivers allege that their money is being extorted by alleged United Party for National Development UPND cadres in these political party offices.
The topic of cadarism in bus stations and markets has been a vice that Zambian citizens have been calling for to be put to an end as one way of upholding human rights of the citizenry. Political party cadres have in the past been known for illegally collecting levies in bus stations and markets and harassing citizens. The United Party for National Development UPND administration has come strong on ending the vice in public facilities and has been commended by many. Wrangles have, however, not completely phased out, as these have continued emerging from political party offices that are still present in these facilities. A governance activist, Mr. BREBNAR, says the continued existence of political party offices in bus stations and markets counters the fight against cadarism.
This cadarism is slowly but creeping back and is becoming an eyesore. And the zeal that the UPND came with to eradicate this scourge is slowly equally fading away. And the reason is very simple. The youth unemployment is so huge such that these cadres have nowhere to go and survive. And they abuse decent men and women who go to the bus stops, those who visit the markets, in order to extort some money for their livelihood.
He adds that only the council should be allowed to be found in these facilities.
The onus now goes back to the New Dawn administration and the president in particular. Can he get his energy back in order so that he resolves the issue of cadarism and free the people of Zambia? Because if they entrench themselves, it will be too late and you will have nothing but powerless.
Wrangles have been ongoing at Lusaka's Kulima Tower bus station as some bus drivers allege that they're being harassed by United Party for National Development UPND cadres at the party office within the station. Hence calls from stakeholders for these political party offices to be completely banned in public facilities. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
In other news, United Party for National Development UPND Lusaka Province Youth Chairperson Anderson Banda says UPND party youths have formally given a written notice to the Zambia police over their intention to protest in demand that the Director of Public Prosecutions DPP should resign. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Banda says the UPND youths will go ahead with the planned protest regardless of the response from the police, as there is need to bring sanity to the country. Director of Public Prosecutions Lillian Siuni is currently under pressure following various calls for her resignation after she entered the Nole Prosequi in a matter involving former Konkola Copper Mines liquidator Melingolungu on charges of theft and money laundering.
To make sure that we demonstrate peacefully against her until she leaves office. We'll camp at her office until she vacates that public office. We have lost confidence. We have no confidence in her. That is a sensitive office which must be occupied by a person, a citizen with high integrity, without entanglement. So she's entangled and she's not fit to continue that office. And she's a danger to the fight against corruption. She's a stumbling block. And me as a layman, I'm able to see the signs that has been there, that she's compromised and she's inclined maybe to individual citizens with questionable reputation who are suspected to have committed some crimes. So we will not tolerate her to continue in that office, and we are determined.
A social scientist, Innocent Kolala, says government should attach importance to undertaking continuous voter registration as provided by the law. The Electoral Commission of Zambia postponed the commencement of the continuous voter registration CVR exercise from 1st of April to 1st June 2022. But Mr. Kolala fears that this development may lead to the failure to resume the process at the said given time.
Registration of voters is a process where eligible citizens make an application to be included on the register of voters for the purpose of voting in an election. Continuous voter registration is important as it helps avoid electoral issues such as these.
And today, we would definitely capture less than 50 citizens, and if that continues for the month, we can do the math. They won't get the 9 million citizens they're targeting for.
We've been here for 2.5 hours. It's not any better at all. I'm number 57.
To get more people in here, I think there's only 3 people attending to everybody that's here, and I can only imagine what it's like at all the other centers. But if they get a few more people in here, it will be a bit better.
Recently, the Commission informed stakeholders in February 2022 that it planned to conduct continuous voter registration commencing on the 1st April 2022 in 10 districts and progressively to all the districts across the country. But it was however postponed from 1st February to 1st June 2022, citing the holding of by-elections for Mungo district in Western Province for the MARIUPOL and 2 local government ward by-elections in Lukutu ward of Luwingu town in Northern Province and Katimba ward of Monze Town Council in Southern Province. Notably, the country may be holding by-elections provided the Constitutional Court upholds the High Court's decision to nullify some seats that were petitioned post the August 12 general elections. And social scientist Innocent Kolala questions the ECZ if that would also prompt the postponement of the continuous voter registration process.
Electoral Commission of Zambia IT department could not isolate the 3 districts in which elections were and allow the Zambian people to continue registering. This is the only problem which we have with our electoral body, because they always want to do things at an 11th hour. When time for a general election comes, that's when they start running up and down. They put up the budget, and the government has been releasing funds to almost all the institutions, to which we even appreciate the government for that, because almost all the institutions now have been receiving funds in line with how they planned it. Now, what is becoming a problem with our electoral body?
He urges the electoral body to demonstrate commitment in undertaking voter registration to avoid what transpired in the build-up to the August 12, 2021 pause, where the process was hurriedly done and recorded a number of concerns.
The Electoral Process Act also is very clear. It espouses on the issue of ensuring that there is continuous voter registration. When are we going to change? The management of Electoral Commission of Zambia needs to jack up so that they give the Zambian people what is best suited to them. The issue of defranchising Zambians, I think it has been long overdue, where we have seen almost every election come, only certain people are the ones who have been registered, whilst the rest others have been left out. That's the reason why we provided that in our constitution.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News. We take our first set of commercials. We'll be back with more after this.
Savenda. Save nations, develop Africa. Connecting African countries to each other and connecting the African continent to the world. This logistics and global supply chain management group offers end-to-end solutions across all sectors of the economy. Agriculture, energy, telecommunications, finance, construction, transportation, and insurance. And now, its initiatives are greener than ever, operating in line with government guidelines and working to provide energy security for Zambia and beyond. 25 companies united under one group and one vision. Savenda. Trade and logistics made easy.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the... She has so much data.
Mom?
Yes, baby?
It says here, global warming and climate change
is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
Camnet TV is becoming big and better. You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. With Camnet TV app, you only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Thank you for staying with us. We continue with the rest of the main news. About 25 women of Lusaka's Chainda compound have been empowered with knitting and tailoring skills as part of the community 7,000 sanitary pad sewing project by the Adventist Development Relief Agency. The Adventist Development Relief Agency ADRA project manager Stella Bema says the project is aimed at supplementing the Zambian government's goal to achieve access to sanitary by all. And Chainda Ward 33 Councillor Nsama Mpundu has thanked ADRA for the initiative, saying it is in line with the New Dawn plan to empower women and youths with skills, thereby contributing to the development of the agenda. A one-year project is costing 75,000 euros, targeting to benefit women and girls within Chainda compound.
Chainda compound, one of the densely populated compounds that Zambia's capital, Lusaka, houses, characterized with high employment levels, among other vulnerabilities, especially among the youth, women, and girl children. The Adventist Development Relief Agency, ADRA, has therefore embarked on the empowerment program that will see about 25 women and girls be empowered with tailoring skills. These women will, through this initiative, be part of the 7,000 sanitary pad sewing project that will eventually benefit a school-going child in this community. In an interview, ADRA project manager Stella Bema says the project is aimed at supplementing the Zambian government's goal to achieving access to sanitary pads
that we just grow up with as children, and all is caused by not being clean around that topic, not being transparent around that topic. So we want to open up with those kids. We want to stop a certain stigma that is around menstrual health.
And then finally settled on the two cooperatives that we are working with now, which are Echoes of Development and Twaktembaula cooperative. And the reasons why we picked on these cooperatives is that these cooperatives were able to demonstrate to us that they were able to begin to do certain activities even without funding from any institution. So at their own level, they were able to mobilize a little resources to begin to do something.
Some participants of the project have thanked the organization.
Napezeka baadwa nchitako empower, napezeka nibwera kutunga konchitako tailoring. Wanabwa tipasa 2 weeks kuti tipunzile mkutunga mapads. And then itapunzira kutunga mapads manje, apa manje chitunga kuchita chanichi. At least ngasiliza ini ngayambeko business nambo sebenzela neka na chitako vinangu chakuti nyangani apa future yanga.
How to sew, how to design, how to cut a material. But now today I'm able to sit on a machine and cut the material, and I'm capable of designing a dress, and then I'm able to sell it.
And Chainda Ward 33 Councillor Nsamampundu is optimistic that with such initiatives, his ward is heading the right development trajectory.
Training our young women in this important skill, but is also going towards helping the livelihoods of the adolescent girls with the project of the 7,000 sanitary pads. We're extremely grateful, and we assure you that Chainda will not be a disappointment. We want a relationship where you will not only be giving us, but we will also be able to give back to you. Giving back to you in the sense that the people that you invest in, the people that you will train, will not misuse or abuse this talent that you have given them.
The project is set to go till November 2022 on a cost of 75,000 euros, targeting to benefit women and girls within Chainda compound with free sanitary pads. Alex Shimba, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Hanyesi Onion Cooperative Limited Chairman David Kapwanta has expressed shock at a statement allegedly attributed to Shoprite Country Manager Charles Bota, suggesting that Zambia has no adequate onions to meet the demand of the chain store. Mr. Kapwanta notes that contrary to Mr. Bota's assertions, Eastern Province has plenty of onions without buyers. He has since accused Shoprite of trying to seek government sympathy so that they can be allowed to import onions from South Africa. Mr. Kapwanta has also alleged that most chain stores desire to create employment in their own countries by making the conditions of supplying merchandise stiff for local farmers.
Support small-scale farmers. Okay, there's that long process whereby when you go to them, when you approach them, this is what I have, they will make sure they frustrate you such that we even give up without even supplying. And then it's unfortunate, today they come around and say there's no quality onion. That one I beg to disagree with them. Because if you look at now, Eastern Province has got a lot of onion that is stuck. Changala has got a lot of onions, Kasenengo has got a lot of onions, Chipata has got a lot of onions. All these onions are stuck. People don't have anywhere to go and sell them. And if they're talking about quality, have a look at some of those onions we produce. They are very good quality. If Shoprite hasn't just given it a chance that we give them, we offer them, because from the look of things, it's like Shoprite has got their own people. You see, they've got preferences, or they want government to U-turn and say, no, since we Zambians have failed to supply, start importing from South Africa. We would like to appeal to the government of the Republic of Zambia, through our president, through the Minister of Agriculture, that they shouldn't uplift this ban. Give us this chance. This is our chance to create employment. Because once we start importing onions from South Africa, it will mean we will actually be creating employment for the South Africans and not for Zambians. Mr. Boda should be honest enough to tell us. I remember the last time I was talking to, we had a conversation with one of the members from Zambia National Farmers Union. We assured them that we are going to produce enough onions. Go to Mansa right now. There's a lot of onions there that is looking for buyers.
Women and youths in Rufunsa districts are storming the local authority offices in an effort to have their clubs and cooperatives registered so that they benefit from the empowerment under the Constituency Development Fund, CDF. The youth and women are facing difficulties to open bank accounts as the district has no banking facility, forcing the council to engage Indo-Zambia and NATSEV banks to conduct mobile opening of bank accounts for the clubs and cooperatives. Rufunsa Town Council Chairperson Kennedy Miloni says the council has received overwhelming response from the community on registration of clubs and cooperatives, but that the challenge is opening of bank accounts as the district has no banks.
These are women and youths in Rufunsa district who have flocked to the Rufunsa Town Council offices to register and open bank accounts for their clubs and cooperatives so that they benefit from the empowerment funds under the Constituency Development Funds. Rufunsa Town Council Chairperson Kennedy Miloni says the local authority has engaged mobile banks to help the clubs and cooperatives open bank accounts as the district has no banking facilities.
We don't want to follow the presidential directives that let women's and youth let us form cooperatives and clubs, and in Rufunsa they have done so. So therefore, the burning problem which was there is the accounts. Now that the accounts we have engaged the banks to come locally, people are very grateful and are very happy. They are appreciating the efforts of the new Dawn government for the initiative we are trying to put across so that we help our people.
The youths and women have commended the local authority for the initiative of bringing mobile banking in the area, as it has reduced on their costs of traveling to Chongwe and Lusaka, which has banking facilities.
Ipitilize maklabu haya so that wantu wonse manja satenge mbali kuma irigo maini kuvina ngwapo chini kaya vojwa malasha wantu wasatenge mbali washite concentrate chabe na maklabu
ya mega mina travel poti kuno kude banga kusa mamine kuti dose di undikane pona pamoja pafundi di service ko chani bank
kuti maklabu vangalembeseni vambiri but vamene vangakwaniseni vang'ono kumando kuti ni transport money kaini patali so ngati vabanki vali pafupi ni chilipo ino chitandizo lo wachokera kumapiri vazaenda chena mendo yene vake bazikaing'ono vakwanisana vasiriza programu yawo ni chipacha chitandizo.
Reporting in Rufunsa district, I'm Msekiwa Njembe.
The Ministry of Agriculture in Southern Province has advised farmers to preserve the crops that have reached maturity level to protect it from going to waste due to rains. Southern Province Principal Agricultural Officer Paul Nyambe made the passionate appeal following the Zambia Meteorological Department's prediction that the rains will continue till the first week of May. Mr. Nyambe said farmers should harvest the crop even though the moisture content is high and find a way of hanging it in the shelters to avoid rotting. He noted that the province has experienced a strange climatic pattern this season in which excessive rainfall was received in Livingstone and Sinazongwe recently. Mr. Nyambe stressed that it is better for farmers to secure crops that have reached maturity, especially maize and groundnuts for food, nutrition and income security. And Southern Province Meteorological Officer Victor Wupe warned that the province will continue receiving sporadic rains up to the end of April. Nais has more.
Let them secure the crop which is ready for harvest should be secured. They have to harvest it, although the moisture content is still a bit high, but they have to find structures where they have shelters and they can still dry the crop. It should not just be heaped. If it is heaped in the husks, in those covers, it will completely rot away. You know, the moisture levels could still be quite high because it's still raining. So they have to find a way of hanging that crop in some shelter where it can continue drying so that as the rains are still around with us, we do not lose that crop. And soon we know this is already end of April. I'm sure by beginning of May, they are saying the rains may continue up to that time.
La Nina is catalyzed with excess moisture deposit and a lot of crowd. So we'll continue having these sporadic showers in the province. And for the farmers whose crop have reached the maturing stage and the crop is almost drying up, it's important they preserve the crop. They should not relax because the moisture deposit is still with us. At any time we can still have these thunder showers occurring in our presses.
We take our second set of commercials. Coming next is international and sports news.
We welcome you to the wonderful world of Savenda Electronics.
At Savenda Electronics, we pride ourselves in manufacturing high-quality electricity and water meters.
Boasting of the first of its kind state-of-the-art manufacturing plant in Zambia, Savenda Electronics manufactures customized smart electricity and water meters of international standards for both the local and international water and electricity utility companies. Our highly computerized factory, run by qualified staff, makes, calibrates, and electronically tests the smart meters to ensure only those meeting customer specifications are delivered to the market. Some of the main features which come with our meters includes notifications about low units, tempering, low battery, and many more customized features. Savenda Electronics provides on and off-site after-sales service and has favorable contract terms for water and electricity utility companies. Savenda Electronics, the real deal.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body.
That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Thank you for staying with us. Now getting into our international item. A commander for the Ukrainian Marine fighting Russian forces in Mariupol says his forces were maybe facing our last days, if not hours, as Russia issued a new ultimatum to fighters holding out inside a steel plant in besieged city. Sahil Voliner from the 36th Separate Marine Brigade said the enemy was outnumbering them 10-1 as he appealed for extraction from the last stronghold in Mariupol in a Facebook post early on Wednesday. Hundreds of civilians are believed to be sheltering in the basement of the besieged Azovstal factory, a vast plant with underground tunnels. Meanwhile, in the U.S., the Biden administration this week began a $6 billion United States effort to rescue and revamp aging nuclear plants that might otherwise close. It is part of Biden's effort to use more carbon-free energy and wean the U.S. off fossil fuel. The announcement comes as the war in Ukraine and sanctions against Russia have given up energy prices worldwide, hitting gas prices in the U.S. especially hard. Al Jazeera has more.
Rising from remote landscapes across the U.S. is an old and new answer to the energy crisis. As part of his clean energy plan, President Biden is spending $6 billion to bail out nuclear energy plants at risk of closing. U.S. Secretary of Energy Jennifer Granholm says she wants the country powered by clean energy by 2035.
Nuclear plants are very cost-effective to operate once you get them built. That compares with things like coal and gas, where a lot of the expense is in the fuel itself.
This is nuclear country. The state of Illinois is more dependent on nuclear power than any other state in the U.S. The state's 6 nuclear reactor sites provide more than half of the energy the state uses. So when an energy company wanted to shut down 2 of them, the state of Illinois paid up to $700 million in subsidies to keep them open. Because without this energy, Chicago, 90 miles away, could go dark.
To replace lost nuclear energy, cities like Chicago would likely turn to carbon-generating oil and natural gas, a future that climate scientists and the Biden administration hope to avoid. As countries like France and China lean heavily on nuclear power, Germany and other nations are moving away from it. In the U.S., protests against nuclear power in the 1970s helped launch the modern environmental movement. The issue? Nuclear waste in the form of spent fuel rods that remain radioactive for hundreds of thousands of years. Then there are the repeated disasters. The 1979 meltdown at Pennsylvania's 3 Mile Island reactor. The deadly 1986 meltdown, fire and radioactive contamination at Ukraine's Chernobyl plant. And the fatal 2011 tsunami that shut down Japan's Fukushima reactor. But the climate crisis has changed the view of many environmentalists, who now see nuclear energy as the lesser of 2 evils.
Priority number 1 is move away from fossil fuels. We think the best way to do that is by deploying real clean energy, which I would not characterize nuclear energy that way. But we have it today. It may be around for a little bit as we work on that transition.
The 93 reactors across the U.S. already provide 20% of the nation's electricity and half its carbon-free energy. The U.S. administration hopes the new funding will avert new closures.
Mariupol is a city almost completely destroyed and from where thousands of civilians have been unable to escape. The last major battle is happening here at a giant Soviet-built factory in an industrial district.
The remainings of the Ukrainian army and large group of civilians are basically encircled by the Russian forces. They continue their struggle, but it seems from the way Russian army behaves in Mariupol, they decided to raze the city to the ground at any cost.
Bodies lie on the streets in the besieged port city. Ukrainian forces ignored a Russian ultimatum to surrender by 1 p.m. local time on Sunday. Ukraine's Prime Minister says its forces will fight to the end. The outcome will likely affect talks to resolve the war.
The peace negotiations are probably going to go in the opposite direction after Russia captures Mariupol, because Zelensky has made it very clear that if Russia carries out another massacre in Mariupol that's comparable to what we saw in Bucha on the remaining forces, then there'll be basically a dead stop for negotiations. The Ukrainian foreign minister said that there's really been no dialogue between Ukraine and Russia over the past 48 hours.
Russia's onslaught continues elsewhere in the east. This is the aftermath of yet another Russian missile strike in Kharkiv. This mainly Russian-speaking city, Ukraine's second largest, has suffered some of the worst shelling since Russia's invasion more than 7 weeks ago. Paramedics treat the injured, but the danger isn't over yet. Ukraine says Russia has stepped up its attacks in the region as its forces prepare for a new offensive in the east. But President Zelensky says he remains steadfast in his determination not to concede any territory.
We now get into sports news. The Zambia Under-17 women's national team has been putting together their final preparations ahead of next week's 2022 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup third round second leg qualifier against Cameroon. Despite trailing 2-0 from the first leg played at Konkola Stadium last Friday, the Copper Princesses are upbeat about overturning the results at the Ahmadou Aido Stadium in Yaoundé on April 30th for a place in the fourth round. Kangwa Kaluwa's side has been boosted by the return of attacking midfielder Gracia Tailoshi after she limped off with an injury in home tie. The winner over 2 legs will face either Burundi or Tanzania in the fourth and final round for a ticket to the 7th edition of the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup to be held in India from 11th to 30th October 2022. Well, that sports item brings us to the end of Camnet TV main news, but before we go, here are the headlines once again. Dumb and deaf 15-year-old girl of CHAWAMA compound allegedly defiled by 5 men. The Zambia Medical Association accuses government of failing MATERO Level 1 hospital. A governance activist, BREBNAR CHANGALA, bemoans political party officers in bus stations. And in international news, Ukraine commander in Mariupol appeal for help. And in sports, Copper Princesses ready to roll Yaoundé. Before we go, our Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of John 13 verse 14 to 15, and it reads, "So if I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you also should do just as I have done for you." Thank you for watching. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Pleasant viewing.